Oh, is it? Oh, yeah.
How are you? Oh, I know. So I'm getting nervous. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Where is this? Thank you. Good. I don't know. No.
All right, we're all here. Tom, don't sit down because we are immediately going to note. I guess you could sit down for this, but I'll go really quickly. That the board convened an executive session to consider matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, or demotion of a particular person or persons, and proposed pending or current litigation. At this point, we will please call this meeting to order, and we will rise to say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we would like to start by asking for a motion on approval of our minutes from our November 18th meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Any comments on those minutes? Okay, all in favor of approval? Aye. And with that, we'll turn it over to our esteemed superintendent, Dr. Tom Dolan.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Welcome, everybody.
We have the treasurer's report.
What? Oh, I was so ready.
Thank you, everyone. We will now approve the treasurer's report, and these are for the months of June and July. Is there a motion on the approval of those two reports? And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments, Marianne?
At page 55, under General Fund A, on the first report, which says as of 12/6/2021, there is STAR reimbursement. It's about 6 lines down.
Mm-hmm.
Original estimate is 0. Current estimate is 2,834,596, and year to date at that time is the same $2 million number. We don't take into account in forming the budget a revenue item of a STAR reimbursement, because that would come into the revenue, and I want
It's a very good question, because we do not we send the entire levy to the county, and the state calculates the portion of the levy which is the STAR.
right.
So it's deducted from the entire levy. So when we are putting the revenue report to get the estimated revenue, we don't account for the STAR reimbursement. When they give us the number, we plug it out of the levy. That's why you don't see any estimated revenue there, because we don't know it until the state calculates it.
So when we get the money, we get our payments, but our payments are less the star reimbursement, and that
Correct.
comes at a later date.
Correct.
We account for that money because that's not going to be
Because it's part of the tax levy.
because it's part of the tax levy. Because otherwise, you would have almost a $3 million fund,
More or less,
overage on
what-
your
what-
fund.
what
So
does-
that now I understand why. I'm like, that cannot be that we didn't account for that somewhere else
No.
because
That-
it would skew our numbers and it would skew our calculation of the cap because you have to take in all revenue into consideration. That's why it sort of stood out to me.
Yeah, the whole idea behind the star reimbursement is the state is saying, okay, you know what? I'm reducing your tax levy and I'm giving it to you. That's what they are saying. But really, it's coming from taxpayers.
All right, so it's accounted and levy. And then I had one other question. We had, and I searching for the page, I thought I printed it out. Can't find it. CASA. So we had $0 budgeted, but we paid out 9 and 5 on the year to date. Was that done by the approval of the contract? Was that for presentations? Because
No, I
originally
think-
we had done things differently, and then we took it out of the budget. So, and now I see the money coming out, and I just want to know how we account for that.
I think what happened was that we changed the process last year, and we had encumbered the money the year before in 1920, and it was rolled over. We now account for it, Dr. Z, I think from your budget, right?
That's right.
So it's coming out of his budget. The program is run out of his budget, so we don't budget for it. So in the 21-22 school year, we did not budget for it, even though we had a purchase order from the prior year that was rolled over. But I'll delve deeper into it and I'll get back to you.
Okay, and because originally when we had done it, we had like payments over a period of time, and
Correct.
they were supposed to present a certain number of programs in order to get the money within the fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I wasn't sure why it wasn't there because I knew we accounted for it budgetarily. We used to have it as a separate budget line item.
Yeah. But we took it out last year.
We did
beginning
change
last
that,
year.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other trustee questions? I just wanted to point out really briefly for the public, this is essentially the monthly financial statements that we approve. They include trial balances, all cash transactions, cash balances. It's basically a balance statement of P&L for a school district, but also has many other reports that are required by the state, including the budget status report. I know during the last election, there were a lot of reports that we didn't see this budget status report. And of course we did, and we approve it on a monthly basis as we're doing right now. Now, in addition, it's available for the whole public to see, and it's on board docs right now for everyone to see. So it's one of those things that sometimes people put out there information that isn't accurate, but the board has always seen this, has always approved it. And just as we are today, we are seeing it and approving it. And now, for anyone who wants to, it's right there for you to see. Any other questions or comments from the trustees? Okay, with that, we will now vote to approve action item 5, the treasurer's reports. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. And we will now move on to the report of Dr. Dolan. Thank you.
I'd like to note for the record that 5 minutes ago I was esteemed. I don't know what I've done wrong in the last 5 minutes, but
The world moves very fast these days.
We'll find out.
really, yeah, I'll find out. Right.
We'll,
Stuff happens.
we'll see where we are in a couple hours.
Good evening, and I'd like to welcome everybody to the last regularly scheduled board meeting of the 2021 calendar year. We have not met since before Thanksgiving, and so there's much to catch up on. We also have an excellent and vitally important academic presentation tonight, and I'll do my best not to take too much time away from them. Before I begin, I acknowledge that some have expressed to me concern that we are seated too closely together at these meetings. We have limited the seating to try to adjust, and there is ample overflow with video feed in the cafeteria. Somebody's already noted that we separated the seats tonight to try to spread them out a little bit to answer some of those concerns, and I would like to thank Trustee McCary for helping me with that tonight when she arrived, separating those chairs. We have plenty of room, and there's certainly a seat for everybody. Another housekeeping matter involves an event that took place in Mineola today. Late this afternoon, Nassau County Police Department Commissioner Patrick Ryder announced that the department will be increasing its presence at school districts throughout our region tomorrow based on new TikTok challenges in which students throughout the nation are encouraged to make threats against their schools on December 17th. It is important to note there have not been any specific threats made toward any of the schools in the North Shore Community School District or any other Nassau County school as of the time of this press conference. However, out of an abundance of caution, there will be an increased police presence at every school in Nassau County tomorrow, including ours. Please take this time to speak to your children about the importance of responsible social media use. They should never forward inappropriate or threatening social media messages to friends. Instead, encourage them to report any suspicious activity or threatening post to a trusted adult immediately. That information must be provided to law enforcement without delay. As I make this announcement, we are in the process at this very moment of sending that message out to all parents in the district such that they can have it before school tomorrow and be assured that our school is safe and our schools are safe and that they can send their children knowing that the police presence will be here. Speaking of children, you may have heard that some of our high school students were involved in a car accident late last night, and after a huge scare, I can now report that all of the students are well and recovering. I hope everyone understands why I cannot reveal a great deal more than that, but the high school did an excellent job of caring for students today, those that were in school today, and I thank the administration for their efforts. Many other items. When we last met, our football team was not yet the Long Island champions. They are now. And our head coach, Dan Agavino, was not the Long Island Coach of the Year, as he is now. Finally, we have a young man named Reese Ramos named to the All Long Island team. And while that honor recognizes a season worth of work, he could have earned that honor just at his final game at Stony Brook with an incredible defensive effort. Congratulations to the team, congratulations to Dan, and congratulations to Reese. We have other athletic highlights to look forward to, as I'm advised by Don Lang, now that the winter season is off to a great start, and the students are healthy, participating, and competing. There are some other highlights worth mentioning that you may have missed, including a visit by North Shore students to the Cradle of Aviation Museum to learn about the Hubble telescope from the man who almost broke the Hubble telescope. Dr. Mike Massimino, an astronaut. Mike is from Long Island. If you get a chance to read his book, Spaceman, he will detail that story for you, along with what I believe to be one of the most inspirational stories I've ever read about human achievement, and also how he was up many million miles away from Earth and broke the space telescope and was up there trying to figure out how do you fix that thing when you don't have a repairman to call. Our school was singularly invited to that event, and I thank our Director of Secondary Assignments, Steve Menchel, for facilitating it. Thanks, Steve. There's also another recent report in Newsday that I want to discuss, and in this case, the news was not as flattering. You may have seen the report that the district violated privacy laws in May of 2020 by the release of directory information that we are told was executed improperly. This is directory information, family names and addresses and phone numbers used by parent groups and others to establish contact, and its release to these groups has been a long-standing practice. The State Chief Privacy Officer report notes that the district policy on directory information as created in the district calendar does not allow such distribution and that we should not have done so. If you'd like to see it, that policy is available online. Hang on. As always, in such a matter, the district relied upon our legal counsel, and they were not aware that there was a discrepancy between what our policy was and what appears on our calendar. The privacy officer ruled, and we must immediately follow up on the recommendation made, which is first to review our policy. We will do that. Although it was not suggested, we will also cross-reference any policy cited in the calendar and ensure that those two sources of information are consistent. I assure the community that that work has already begun. Before I embark on the next topic, I would like to acknowledge the very fine job that Jen Imperial has done this year as the interim principal of the middle school. I barely knew who Jen was when I wandered into her high school office to pitch the idea of her migration across the street. It meant some big changes for her and for her family, and I thank her for doing so and say again how much I've enjoyed working with her. But it is an interim position, and as promised, the district will get to work on filling the position permanently. That process will begin in January as we begin to advertise the position to seek interested candidates. Resumes will be collected and screened in February, and interviews will occur in March. We will involve all constituent groups in those interviews, and I hope that we will be able to make an appointment in April, thus allowing the successful candidate sufficient time to transition to their new school. There's a couple of other contentious topics I feel obligated to address, and the first one is some internet chatter about the district's very, very appropriate work that we do in accounting for textbooks at the high school. There are 16,345 books at the high school, and approximately 600 new ones are ordered each year. That represents a very valuable resource, and I am very proud to tell you that we take very good care of them. At the end of each year, they need to be inventoried, and there is a stipended position in the collective bargaining agreement. The task involves counting each of those 16,000 or so books, rounding up loose volumes from lockers, radiators, desks, and assembling class sets and seeing that they are each in the location in which they are needed. This is important work, and let me just give you one example of how important that is. If a classroom set of a particular text is missing 2 or 3 volumes, and we do not have enough for a grade or a class, that doesn't mean we have to order 2 or 3 volumes. If that's out of print, that might mean that we need to order a new set at great expense. So it's critically important that every single one of those 16,345 books be accounted for. Finding those 2 or 3 books might save thousands of dollars in the long run. It is critical work that must be done. The culmination of this work is an inventory that is completed and approved at 3 administrative levels, including the superintendent. The inventory is the work product. There are no timesheets, nor are there timesheets for a coach, a class advisor, or an equipment manager. The last title is appropriate to cite for another reason, and that is, like the equipment manager, this position is not a club, nor does it say anywhere that it is a club. Anyone who calls it a club is incorrect. It is listed in a contract in a section called organizations, and maybe that's the source of confusion. But no one should believe that this is a student club, and furthermore, it is a position that has existed since 1980. My final thought on this, and is that this is very important work that must be done, and it is being done well. Any allegation to the contrary is disingenuous. Finally, on substantive issues, I do want to address winter concerts. The good news is that the promised videos of the concerts have been completed, and the middle school edition will premiere tomorrow. Others will follow, and I am told they are excellent productions. I look forward to seeing them each. I fully recognize and acknowledge that this is not what some parents had hoped for, and I am sorry that we were unable to find a way to meet all of your very appropriate requests. It was my recommendation to go remotely with the concerts, and I acknowledge that. And I've been asked several times in the last few days whether it was the right recommendation. I have pondered the question quite a bit. The very unfulfilling answer is, I don't know. What would have happened if we had held the concerts? Would we be going remote now, like schools in East Rockaway, Uniondale, Levittown, and other locations? I don't know. Might we have escaped unscathed and continue to enjoy our relatively low numbers? And I give all the credit in the world for those low numbers to our teachers and students for maintaining distance and wearing masks the way that they do. I don't know. As I ask those questions, I think of a movie we were all seeing on late night TV this time of year, and that is A Christmas Carol. If the ghost of Christmas concerts' future had taken me by the hand and transported me to the future to show me the district after live concerts, a district without a new strain of COVID, where we're able to revert to the kind of holiday celebrations we all, even Scrooge here, enjoy, would I have been comfortable going live? I don't know. I consider the margin of error with your children's safety a very small one. And in the absence of some certainty, I will likely respond with safety as the highest priority. I truly hope such decisions are not commonplace in the months ahead, but we're all reading the same newspapers and listening to the same news stories. I am fearful that it will be otherwise. Finally, and in keeping with the seasonal tone, some of you know that I was away last week, and I thank the board for granting me the time for a previously planned break. Mrs. Dolan thanks you too. While I was away, I had a wonderful conversation with a gentleman from Quebec, and we were both trying so hard to speak each other's language. He made one note of the English language that I had never heard expressed so articulately before, and it was that our language is the most appreciative of languages. He reminded me that the word for the moment in which we now live is the present, and that the word also means a gift. He indicated that he knew of no other language that so appreciated the moment in which we live as such an obvious gift. It also motivated me in my tie today, full of presents and gifts. It seems appropriate to note that this time of year, one associated with presents and gifts, and perhaps ask us to reflect a bit on the good fortune we still have and that we can all still look forward to. Happy holidays to all, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. That's a great report. So, you got a lot in there. It's a lot of paper there. I don't see you
A lot
having
going
a
on.
sheaf. Okay, we will now move on to my report on the update on our superintendent search. Those of you who know, of course, this is one of the board's goals for the year and a very important thing that we're doing. That said, I think it's safe to call this a bit of a lull. After the break, we'll be placing ads, as I discussed at our last meeting, and we'll also be doing some recruitment. And by we, I mean the consultants that we have hired to perform this function for us. And as we move into late winter, we're going to be very active in this process, and it is very much on track to remain on target for an appointment that'll have a new superintendent kicking off 2023. Mrs. Dolan thanks me. Thank you. I'm riffing. So we will now move on to report from our SGO rep. Katie, you're solo tonight?
Yes.
No one is concerned. You got this.
No, unfortunately, he could not be here tonight due to a family obligation, but he sent his best wishes to everyone. Good evening and thank you. I would like to start off by saying thank you to the PTO who provided hot chocolate and cookies to the high school today. The cookies and hot chocolate day is always a student favorite, and myself included, we were all very excited for the return of this North Shore tradition. And Dr. Dolan mentioned the winter concerts during his report, and on behalf of the student body and particularly the seniors, we'd like to say thank you, to Ms. Rodriguez, Mr. Contreras, and the rest of the administration for allowing us to have our senior parents at that concert. We understand COVID brings a lot of challenges to events such as these, but we really appreciate the district finding ways to make us have the most normal experience possible and for allowing us to celebrate our last winter concert with our families. In terms of the SGO news, after school today, we decorated the high school for winter and the holiday season to bring some more morale and holiday spirit to the school. So if you saw any snowflakes, peppermints, anything like that walking in, that was the hard work of all 4 grade levels of the SGO after school today. Additionally, the SGO has taken over doing the morning announcements starting next week. So every member of the SGO of all grade levels will have the opportunity to sign up for a week of announcements to have that experience. And finally, the SGO is helping the counseling department with planning an alumni panel of current college students that will take place in January and will give the senior class an opportunity to ask questions about selecting a college and anything college related. And so on behalf of myself, of Noah, and the entire SGO, we hope everyone enjoys the winter break and continues to have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katie. And of course, you're welcome to stay, but we also appreciate your busyness as well. We will now, you're very welcome. Have a great holiday. We will now move on to our administration, which will be offering a report on, I'm not going to use the initials, I want to say what they actually are, which is advanced placement and international baccalaureate and dual credit programs, history, data, research, and student experiences.